You have to stop waiting. Waiting for someone to give you permission. Waiting for a sign. Waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. Waiting for the right time. Here's the truth. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect situation. There is only now. And success? It starts the moment you decide to take ownership of your life. You don't need more advice. You don't need another book. You don't need to scroll through another motivational quote. What you need is to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm responsible for where I am, and I'm responsible for where I'm going. It's hard. Of course it is. Owning your life means admitting that the choices you've made or avoided making got you here. But it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever face. Because if you created your current reality through your actions or inaction, then you also have the power to change it. That's the magic. That's the spark. You're not stuck. You're just waiting. And the only person who can change that is you. Most people never take real ownership. They blame. They point fingers. My boss doesn't see my potential. My parents didn't support me. My partner doesn't believe in me. The economy is bad. I'm too old. I'm too young. On and on it goes. And yes, some of those things are real. Life throws curveballs. People let you down. Circumstances can be unfair. But if you keep giving your power away to those things, you will never, ever take control of your future. Ownership is about saying, no matter what's happened, I'm still responsible for what I do next. Do you know what's on the other side of ownership? Freedom. Freedom to choose differently. Freedom to build something new. Freedom to fail and learn and then try again. But it only starts when you stop outsourcing your success to people or things outside your control. I've talked to thousands of people who are waiting for something outside themselves to change, and every single one of them stays stuck until they realize that nothing changes until they do. Taking ownership doesn't mean you need to have all the answers. It doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. It means that instead of letting fear or doubt stop you, you act anyway. It means you stop saying someday and start saying today. You get out of bed and move forward, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, because that's where growth happens. Dici. When you truly own your life, excuses don't survive. You don't have time for them. Because you understand that every excuse you make is a brick you lay on the path to regret. You start to see that success isn't a matter of talent or luck. It's a matter of responsibility, owning your time, owning your effort, owning your mistakes, and most importantly, owning your potential. The truth is, you already know what you need to do. You've just been avoiding it. Maybe it feels overwhelming. Maybe you're afraid of failing, but I want you to hear this clearly. Inaction is failure. Every day you delay is a day you give away your power. So instead of chasing some magical moment when everything feels right, choose to act now. Even if it's messy, even if it's small, that single moment of ownership, that one decision to take control can change everything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Take responsibility for your mindset, your schedule, your choices, your reactions, your progress. When you do that, when you truly own it all, you become unstoppable. Because nothing can hold back someone who refuses to be a victim of their circumstances. Success depends on you. Not your background, not your education, not your boss, not your bank account, you. And that's the best news possible. Because it means no matter what your story has been up to this point, you can change the ending. You can rewrite the whole thing. But it starts with one simple, powerful decision. Own your life, every single part of it, and watch what happens next. Your habits are the invisible architecture of your life. They shape how you think, how you feel, and what you become. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Most people have big dreams. They talk about what they want to do, who they want to become, and the kind of life they want to live. But then they go back to doing the same things every day. Waking up late, scrolling on their phones, procrastinating, making excuses, and saying tomorrow one more time. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The answer is simple. You can't build a different life on the same habits. Success isn't built in one big moment. It's not a lucky break or one great decision. It's built in the small, quiet decisions you make every single day. It's in what time you wake up. It's in whether you go to the gym or skip it. It's in whether you start that project or keep putting it off. It's in whether you spend 30 minutes learning or 30 minutes watching mindless videos. These choices may seem small, but repeated over time, they either move you toward success or away from it. You are not what you say you'll do. You are what you consistently do. People often think they need motivation to build better habits. That's a myth. You don't need motivation. You need structure. You need a system that supports your goals. Motivation comes and goes, but systems are steady. That's why athletes train even when they don't feel like it. That's why writers write when they're not inspired. They've built habits that don't rely on how they feel in the moment. And that's what you need too. Waiting until you feel like doing something is the fastest way to get stuck. Successful people don't wait to feel ready. They act. Think about your day like a blueprint. If your daily habits don't match the person you say you want to become, something has to change. You want to get healthy? Then stop focusing on the scale and start focusing on your habits. What you eat, how you move, how you sleep. You want to be successful in your career? Then focus on your daily effort, your learning, your discipline, your ability to push through when things get hard. Big goals are achieved through small, repeated actions. And the best part? You're in control of every single one of them. There's no such thing as an overnight success. What you see on the outside, awards, wealth, recognition, is just the result of habits practiced over and over behind the scenes. You don't see the years of showing up, the mornings when they didn't want to get out of bed, the sacrifices they made when no one was watching. But that's where success is built, in the hidden routines that no one applauds. So if you're not seeing results yet, don't give up. Look at your habits. Are they aligned with your goals? Are they setting you up for success? Or are they keeping you stuck? Changing your habits doesn't require massive action. In fact, trying to change everything at once usually backfires. Real transformation happens through small shifts done consistently. Drink more water, write 1 page a day. Get up 30 minutes earlier, shut off your phone at night. These aren't revolutionary actions, but they compound, and when you stick with them, they become automatic. That's the beauty of habit. Once it's in place, it works for you. Your brain craves routine. Your brain craves routine. It wants to automate as much as possible. So when you consciously build good habits, you're training your brain to run on autopilot in the right direction. But the same is true for bad habits. They also become automatic. That's why breaking them can be hard, but it's not impossible. You just need awareness, intention, and repetition. When you start paying attention to what you do every day and why, you can begin to make new choices. And over time, those choices become your new identity. Here's the truth. You don't get your goals. You get your habits. Your habits determine your focus, your energy, your momentum. They determine whether you're making progress or staying stuck. Success is not an accident. It's not magic. It's not reserved for a lucky few. It's the natural outcome of doing the right things the right way every day, even when no one's watching. And you're capable of that. Every single day is a chance to prove it. So if you want to change your life, stop chasing big breakthroughs. Start mastering your habits. Because in the end, it's not your dreams that create your future. It's your habits that do. And you are always one habit away from a completely different life. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it wants to, and it disappears the moment things get tough. If you build your success on motivation alone, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because the truth is, there will be days when you don't feel like doing anything. Days when you're tired. Days when you're discouraged. Days when everything feels like an uphill battle. And on those days, motivation won't be anywhere to be found. That's why the people who succeed, the ones who really make things happen, don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline is doing what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up for yourself consistently, no matter what. And yes, it's uncomfortable. It's not glamorous. No one claps for you when you choose to go to the gym instead of watching TV. No one throws a party when you spend an hour writing, studying, or building your business instead of scrolling through social media. But that's exactly where success is built. In the moments when no one's watching and you choose to do the hard thing anyway. Most people think that successful individuals are just more motivated. They assume these people wake up every day fired up, energized, and ready to conquer the world. That's a myth. The truth is, successful people feel the same resistance you do. They get tired, they get bored, they get overwhelmed. But they don't let those feelings stop them. They've trained themselves to act in spite of how they feel. That's discipline. And that's the difference. You can't control how you feel, but you can always control what you do. You might wake up feeling unmotivated, but you can still choose to take action. You might feel afraid, but you can still choose to move forward. That's where your power lies. Not in your emotions, but in your decisions. And the more you choose discipline over comfort, the stronger that muscle becomes. Because yes, discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes. And eventually, you start to trust yourself on a deeper level. You become someone who follows through no matter what. Think about what you want in life. Maybe it's financial freedom, a healthy body, a strong relationship, a successful business, or all of the above. None of those things are created by doing something once or twice when you're feeling inspired. They're built through consistent, disciplined action over time. And that's not always exciting. In fact, it's often boring. It's saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It's choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It's waking up early, sticking to your schedule, and doing the work when you'd rather not. But here's the truth. Discipline gives you freedom. That sounds backward, but it's not. When you're disciplined with your time, you create more time for the things that matter. When you're disciplined with your finances, you build the freedom to make choices without stress. When you're disciplined with your health, you have the energy and strength to live fully. Discipline feels restrictive in the moment, but it creates a life that's anything but limited. The problem is, we're living in a culture that worships comfort. Everything is about ease, speed, convenience, and pleasure. We're trained to avoid discomfort at all costs. But growth lives on the other side of discomfort. Success lives there too. So if you're serious about your goals, you need to stop chasing what feels good and start choosing what makes you better. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. Every time you choose discipline over motivation, you build momentum. And momentum is a powerful force. One disciplined choice leads to another. One workout becomes a habit. One focused work session turns into a productive week. One day of sticking to your plan leads to a month of progress. That's how real change happens. Slowly, steadily, through small disciplined steps that compound over time. So the next time you don't feel like it, the next time you want to hit snooze, skip the work, or make an excuse, pause and remind yourself, success doesn't care how you feel. Your goals don't care if you're tired. Your future doesn't care if you're not in the mood. It only cares about what you do. Discipline isn't easy, but it is simple. Do the thing. Not because you want to. Not because you're inspired, but because you promised yourself you would. And that promise is the most powerful commitment you can ever make. You've probably had those moments. A great idea hits you. You feel a surge of energy. You think, I should start that business, or I need to have that conversation, or it's time to get serious about my health. And then you hesitate. You pause. You think about it for just a second too long. And that second is all it takes for fear, doubt, and excuses to creep in. Suddenly, the idea doesn't seem so great. You talk yourself out of it. That's the moment where most people lose. Not because they don't have great ideas or potential, but because they didn't act fast enough. This is where the 5-second rule comes in, and it can change everything. The rule is simple. If you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must move within 5 seconds or your brain will kill it. Count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and physically move. Make the call. Stand up, start writing. Say what needs to be said. Send the email. Take the first step. The countdown interrupts the habit loop of hesitation and gives you a window to act before fear sets in. It may sound simple, but don't underestimate it. This rule has pulled people out of depression, launched businesses, ended toxic relationships, and built habits that completely transform lives. Not because it's magic, but because it shifts your behavior before your mind talks you out of it. Your brain is wired to protect you. It's constantly scanning for danger. And while that kept our ancestors safe from predators, it now keeps you safe from things like rejection, failure, discomfort, and risk. Things that aren't life-threatening but still feel scary. So every time you think about doing something new, your brain will immediately try to stop you. It'll feed you excuses. You're too tired, it won't work, you can do it later. That's your default setting. And the only way to override it is through action, immediate, intentional action. The moment you hesitate, your brain takes control. It starts running through every reason why you shouldn't act. That moment of hesitation is the death of so many dreams. Think about it. How many times have you talked yourself out of something you knew you needed to do? How many opportunities have you missed because you waited too long and lost your nerve? The difference between the people who succeed and the ones who stay stuck often comes down to one thing. Who took action first? The 5-second rule isn't about being fearless. It's about learning how to act in spite of fear. Fear doesn't go away, but when you move before your mind has a chance to stop you, you gain power over it. Every time you count down and move, you're training yourself to be someone who takes action. You're building confidence, not through affirmations or wishful thinking, but through real evidence. Because every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted, that you're capable, reliable, and committed. And that builds momentum like nothing else. Action is the antidote to anxiety, and the longer you tell yourself that someone else is the key to your success, the more powerless you become. Stop giving other people control over your life. A lot of people stay stuck in jobs they hate, relationships that don't serve them, and lives they didn't choose, all because they keep hoping that someone or something will come along and change it for them. They don't realize that every day they wait, they're choosing that life all over again. Every day you don't decide to take control, you are deciding to stay the same. And that's a decision with consequences. You are not born to live on autopilot. You are not put on this earth to simply exist, to coast, to settle, to rely on others to decide your direction. You were born with power, potential, and purpose, but you will never tap into any of that until you stand up and say, "This is my life, and I'm going to take full responsibility for where it goes." This means making hard choices. It means showing up for yourself every single day. It means getting uncomfortable. It means taking risks, failing forward and getting back up without anyone clapping for you. It means becoming the hero of your own story, not because you have everything figured out, but because you've stopped waiting and started leading. It also means dropping the excuses. Yes, life is unfair sometimes. Yes, you may have been dealt a hard hand. Yes, you might be tired, afraid, or uncertain, but you still have a choice. You can either let your past, your fear, or your circumstances define you, or you can rise above them. You can either wait for someone to do it for you, or you can become the kind of person who does it anyway, tired, scared, and unsure, but moving forward anyway. You don't need saving, you need action. You need commitment. You need to believe in yourself enough to take the next step, even when it's hard, because the life you want isn't going to magically appear. You have to build it, one decision, one step, one disciplined action at a time. And it starts the moment you stop waiting and start moving. No one is coming. And that's the best news you'll ever hear, because it means it's all up to you. The truth is, you already know what you need to do. Deep down, you know the steps to take. You know what habits you need to break. You know which conversations you're avoiding. You know the goals you keep putting off. You know when you're not showing up fully, when you're making excuses, and when you're lying to yourself. But knowing isn't the problem. Action is. And the only way to move from knowing to doing is by taking ownership of your choices, fully and unapologetically. You can't blame your parents forever. You can't blame the economy, your ex, your boss, or the education you didn't get. Those things may explain where you started, but they do not excuse where you stay. Taking ownership means you stop outsourcing responsibility. It means you stop waiting for things to change and start being the one who changes them. It's about saying, "This is my life, and everything in it is my responsibility, my thoughts, my habits, my results." Most people avoid ownership because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that you're the reason why certain things haven't worked out, that maybe your excuses are louder than your goals, that maybe your habits are the real barrier, not the world around you. But here's the thing. Once you own it, you can change it. If something is your fault, then fixing it is in your control. That's the gift of ownership. It puts the power back in your hands. Look at any successful person, and you'll find someone who has taken radical ownership of their life. They don't waste time pointing fingers. They don't wait for someone to solve their problems. They solve them. They adapt. They take feedback, learn the lesson, and move forward. They think they need to know everything, have everything figured out, and feel no fear. But that's not how progress works. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. The moment you start doing even something small, you begin to learn. You gain feedback, you adjust, you grow. And all of a sudden, the thing that seems so overwhelming becomes manageable. But none of that happens if you don't take the first step. Your brain will always try to keep you safe. It's wired for survival, not success. So the moment you consider doing something new, something uncertain, uncomfortable, or challenging, your brain will sound the alarm. It'll flood you with doubt. What if you fail? What if it doesn't work? What will people think? That voice in your head isn't telling you the truth. It's just trying to protect you. And the only way to quiet it is to prove it wrong with action. It's easy to romanticize the idea of starting when things settle down, when you have more time, more money, more support, more energy. But what if none of that comes? What if your dream, your goal, your potential depends on what you do now, in the middle of the mess, not when everything is neatly arranged? That's how real change happens. Not when it's easy, but when you choose to act even when it's hard. Waiting feels like safety, but it costs you time. It costs you opportunities. It costs you growth. The more you wait, the more distant your dreams become. Meanwhile, someone else with fewer resources, less knowledge, and just as much fear is already out there building something because they chose to start. The difference between success and regret isn't usually talent, it's timing. The people who win are the ones who begin. Starting now doesn't mean doing everything at once. It doesn't mean you have to leap off a cliff or burn everything down. It means starting where you are with what you have and doing what you can. It means sending the email, writing the first page, making the first call, setting the alarm earlier, putting on your shoes and stepping outside. Tiny actions matter. Momentum doesn't begin with a breakthrough. It begins with a choice. When you commit to starting before you're ready, you shift from passive to active. You stop reacting and start creating. And that's when everything changes. You become someone who makes things happen, not someone who watches them happen. You become someone who leads, someone who builds, someone who doesn't wait to be chosen because you already chose yourself. And yes, it will be messy. You'll make mistakes. You'll feel awkward. You'll stumble and question yourself. That's all part of the process. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Every time you act, you're moving forward. Every time you push through discomfort, you're growing. And every time you show up when it would have been easier to hide, you're becoming the person your future self will thank you for. So stop waiting. The perfect time is not coming. Start now, start messy, start scared. Just start, because your future isn't built in some ideal moment. It's built right here in the present by what you choose to do today.